Hello everybody! Today I'm putting together my geology unit and I thought I would share with you some of the materials that we're using and how I go about planning my units. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is checking out what's in my library to see if there are any books that I want to use for this unit. And there certainly are. Now some of them I've already pulled out and have kept them in little unit study bins in my cabinet, and some of them are on my bookcase. Now once I pull those out, then I can kind of assess what other materials I need. And one of my favorite places to shop for materials is rainbowresource.com. So I will go over there and just search geology or earth science or projects or kits, and then I will just start assembling a wish list of materials that I want to use. We have received all of the materials that we're going to be using for this unit, and I have displayed them on this little wood shelf. Now some of the things we already had in our unit bins, but I've pulled everything out, I've displayed everything, and this really encourages the kids to familiarize themselves with some of the things that we're going to be using for this unit, and it's just an inspiring way to display your unit. You can find a complete list of all the materials that I'm using, as well as links to the products and small descriptions of each product that we're using for this geology unit at my website at pepperandpine.com, and also you can find it at Teachers Pay Teachers, so you can look at the description box below for that link. Now I just want to make a small note here that we are doing a geology unit which differs from the mineralogy unit in a main lesson block for the Waldorf curriculum for grade 6, so we're going to be covering a few topics that are not covered in that mineralogy unit. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you are the two tools that I use for lesson planning the most, and these are the full back sticky Post-its and of course a pencil. The reason why I use this is because as I go through all of the material, I like to mark on the front cover of the book how many pages are in the book, how long it's going to take for us to read it, whether I'm going to read it aloud, whether my kids are going to read it to themselves, just whatever notes that I need, I'm going to put it on the front of this book or any book with a full back sticky Post-it. And that way, when I get ready to put all of this into the computer in a lesson plan, it's a little bit easier for me because my notes are right on the front of the books. And also, when I go to store this and use it again in the future, I have my notes right here on the front cover. So this is really helpful. So these two tools indispensable for my lesson planning and for putting together my units. All right, so let me show you some of the things that we got. Now, I usually don't get library books as part of our unit study just because it's a little bit difficult to get them when you need them, make sure that they're available, transfer them from other libraries, or just the late fees that we tend to incur when we don't return our books or when we lose books. So I don't tend to include them as part of the actual unit, but this time we happened to be at the library getting other books for the kids, and I decided to pick some up. And this is just great supplement material for our unit, and it's just nice to have on hand. So when you're in the library, do check out things that will relate to your unit. For sure, it's a great way to go. The things that I find troublesome about it is when you have to transfer from different libraries and then they don't arrive when you're ready to do the unit, or they need to be returned before you're done with the unit. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is volume 1 of a 4-volume science series. This one is Lyrical Earth Science, and it comes with a CD that has songs that are inspired by geology. They're really great. It's worth listening to. And it has the textbook that also has the songs, and then it has the workbook. And this is a really great resource to have in case you want to have something that kind of tests the kids' knowledge, or in my case, it's nice to have something that I can turn into our teacher, because most of our projects, they're going to be sentimental, or they're going to be part of a main lesson book, and we're not going to want to tear out pages from the main lesson book to give as samples for our teacher. So this is going to be nice for both the kids, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to require for them on a regular basis. But my 9th grader, this will be a great way to show learning, since I won't be able to go through the workbook or this textbook with him, since he is going to be doing this when our main unit is done, and he is going to continue with geology for the remainder of the semester because he needs to have daily work in the 4 different subject areas. Okay, so we do have a couple of eyewitness books. Now, we're not going to be using those as part of our unit studies in the sense that I'm not going to be reading through these daily, but these will be available for the kids to look through and for me to use as reference. So we have rocks and minerals and crystal and gems. And again, like, these are really wonderful books in that they have great photographs. They have a lot of information, but we just weren't finding them as inspiring as other living books. In fact, these are not living books. And so we decided just to keep these on hand, but not to use them as part of our unit. This book, however, even though it kind of looks like the eyewitness books, it is not. It's called Planet Earth. And I really like this book. It doesn't have it has information that's really kind of scattered, but I like the format. I like the question and answer format, and I really like all the illustrations. And so we're going to be reading this together. And then we got this book from the library bookstore. I think it was like 50 cents or something. And it's a Grand Canyon geology, and I thought it was perfect in case we do take a road trip to the Grand Canyon. Even if we don't, it's really great to learn about geology, and then you're seeing the formation, especially of something that's so iconic like the Grand Canyon. It kind of brings it all together. It brings the theory and the reality together. So I like this book a lot. Something else we picked up from the library bookstore is this book, and I just thought that the pictures were really beautiful, and I liked what was written about each one. I'm just sad that the cover is lost because I bet you it was a really beautiful front cover. But anyway, we have this book that we can look through, and this is going to work really great when we are looking through the rocks that we found at our beach. These were taken from a non-protected beach, but of course when we're done with them we don't mind taking them back. But this way we can have our own rocks to look at and compare to the ones that we're finding in the book. So this will be a lot of fun for us. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is Top's learning system. They have these for a lot of different topics, and this one's for rocks and minerals. And this one is not the most inspiring book to get projects out of. It's all black and white. There aren't illustrations that are colorful like in this book here, which is just a little bit, I don't know, easier or more inspiring to do. But I believe that this was the kit that came with this book, but this was hand me down. This was a hand-me-down from somebody else, and so I'm not 100% sure that all the materials are here, but I did mark some of the experiments or demonstrations that we wanted to do. So I did start to collect like the egg carton and a couple of the things that we wanted to do with this project. All right, so here's something else that's totally quintessential for a geology unit, and these are different assortments of rocks. So this is the metamorphic rock set, and my kids love this. And the only problem I have with this is that the numbers come off super easy. And so I was trying to figure out a way that we could maybe photograph the whole thing so that in case the numbers come off, at least we know what they are. And I know that it comes with information here, and it actually describes the color and the composition. So possibly if we did lose the numbers, then hopefully we can still identify them. I do want to point out that I did stick a couple of things in here that don't belong here. These are actually tourmaline crystals that we kind of mined ourselves from a place near San Diego, and you can go there and you buy like a big bucket of rubble, and then you go through it and you try to look for your crystals. And so we did find a few, which was really fantastic. I'm going to just go on a tangent for 1 second and show you something else, and then I'll come back to those boxes. Now, these are fossils that we found ourselves when we were living in Texas for a year. We went to a place called Mineral Wells, and it's a big place where you can look for fossils. Now, I think they had been excavating the area for maybe building houses or something like that. I'm not sure, but anyway, they ended up finding like a ton of fossils, and now the place is open to the public, and you can go and look for your own fossils and take them, which is super, super cool. I absolutely loved this. It's so much fun looking for fossils. If you've never done it before, I highly recommend it. There are plenty of places I'm sure that you could find something that's in your area. We've been to Utah before to mine for, or look for rather,
trilobites. And then here in Mineral Wells, found some other fossils, and then in San Diego we found the crystals. And so I'm sure that there are places locally to you. This is a fantastic excursion for both kids and adults. So let's go back to those other boxes that we have here. I just showed you the metamorphic rock set. And then this is the igneous rock set. And again, the only problem I have with these is that the little numbers fall off, but this is a lot of fun to have on hand. And then we also have the sedimentary rock set. So we picked these up from Rainbow Resource, and you could find similar rock assortments that have actually all the different rocks together. We just decided to get ones that were separated. All right, so Journey to the Center of the Earth is one of my favorite books, and I thought it was totally appropriate to read alongside this geology unit. We always have a novel or a classic that is being read. This is one of the most consistent things that we've ever done in our homeschool, that I've always read aloud to the kids, at least one chapter from some kind of book. And you know, for a period of time we were really into the classics, and other times it was historical fiction, and this time we're doing Journey to the Center of the Earth, and this will take about 12 weeks to finish since we're only reading one chapter a day. And I think our geology unit's going to only be about 8 weeks, and so this will overlap into our next unit, but still it's a really great read, and it's just a perfect companion to this unit. All right, so I want to show you a few more fun things that we have here. This is a fossil collection with 12 different specimens. This is super cool to have on hand. There's going to be like shark and trilobite and just different things, and we have never been able to use this in a unit before, even though we've had it for so long that I don't even remember where we got it from. But this is a great thing just to have, where the kids can look at and just kind of compare with some of the other things that we have in our unit. Okay, so this is an excavation kit, and just for the sake of space, I had removed the packaging, so I do not know what this one is called, but it came with everything you needed in order to excavate it. This is by Geocentral, and we have a lot of their products. They do a lot of different excavation kits, and it came with this little plastic tray that then you can put your different rocks that you find in this excavation kit and then identify them. All right, Professor Noggins is a super popular game. There are tons of them, and this is the Earth Science game, and it comes with 2 sets of questions, easy and hard, and then you roll the dice, and then you can choose. Well, the dice will tell you which question you I can speak, I promise. So anyway, you read the question and then the kids can answer it, or vice versa. Now, this is a really great way to introduce a unit, and it's also a really great way to test what you've learned. So the way that we've been playing this is that we have gone through the easy questions, and once you've gone through them a couple times, you memorize them, and then it's not so exciting anymore because you just remember the answers. But it was great. We did this within the first week, so the kids had already started to read some of their own books on geology and fossils and other things, and so they were able to answer some of the questions that they hadn't known before. And even my son was saying, I just read this morning, so I know the answer, which is really neat. But at the end of the unit, we'll go through the difficult questions, and then we'll really test our knowledge and see how well we did with our unit. Okay, so we have more fun stuff to go through. This one is also by Geocentral. It is another excavation kit. It's a rock and crystal excavation kit. And of course, I'm going to have videos on all of these different projects and tell you how they worked out. But it's really similar to all the other kits that we used in our ancient Egypt and ancient Rome unit, and now again we're using them for this unit. So I did buy 2 of these ones because I figured either my kindergartner and my 5th grader are going to want to do this, or my 5th grader and my 9th grader. But my 9th grader is kind of not as interested in these projects anymore, so for some of them I did just get one. So this is the Dinosaur Kit. We only got one of these ones, and again, this is one of those other kind of excavation ones, but it's kind of cool because it's like shaped as a dinosaur head. And then we have a couple more of these rock kits. Now these ones were hand-me-down, and so you can see that some of them are missing. but it's still nice to have on hand. These are much larger than the other set that we had. And then of course it has the names of all those different rocks. And we have one more here. This one is rocks and minerals. And what's really cool about this one is that they are glued in place, so you will not lose these. And I think it came with this book and that experiment kit, I think, but I'm not sure. Again, with hand-me-down things, it's a little hard to keep track of all the materials that go along with it. Okay, we have more fun stuff, and this is by GeoCentral again. Most of these kits we all got from Rainbow Resource, and I only got one of these, although I think I'm regretting it now because I'm pretty sure all of my kids are going to want to do something that looks this cool. This is a Volcano Excavation Kit, and you can find, this is really cool, you get 6 out of the 15 different rocks that are shown. So this would have been a good thing to order like more than one, because I'm sure the kids are all going to want to have their own. All right, the next one we have is a Dig, Discover, and Display Kit. We have been using these now for over a year with a lot of our different units, and this one is for crystals. I do not remember which one is which, and I can't remember if it says it anywhere on the box. So this will be exciting. We're gonna find out as we excavate. Okay, so the next thing here is this Earth Science flip chart, and this one we got from Eggcorn Naturalist, and we had intended to use this one last year when we were going to do our geology unit in the spring, but then we never got to it, and so now it is being done in the fall, almost the fall. And this is a really beautiful thing just to have on hand and just to have as part of like classroom decoration, and something that can be inspiring and just something that I can use to refer to as we do some of these other topics in our unit. Now this one has earth science, so it has geology as well as weather and some maybe oceanography, or maybe not, I'm not sure, but and it also has astronomy, but we're not going to do astronomy, but we are going to do oceanography and weather, but not as part of our geology unit, but as different like smaller subunits. Okay, this I picked up from Tuesday Morning. It was deeply clearanced. I think I got this for $4, and this is going to be a lot of fun for the kids to do. Of course, I'll have a video on this, and then you can see how we did it. The last thing I want to show you, I am super excited about this. This is Break Open Real Geodes. Now, we have been to Knott's Berry Farm, and they have a place where you can pick your own geodes, and they have this rotary saw, I think it's called, that they use to cut it open, which is really cool because then you get a nice clean cut. But these ones you just use a hammer to cut them open, which is still really cool, but it would be even cooler if we could actually cut them open. So I'm really excited to do this one. You get, I think, 15 premium geodes. This wasn't cheap, but we've used the other ones that are kind of small, and they're maybe like $2 or $3, and they just haven't been that exciting. So I'm really excited to use something or get something that's going to be a little bit more dramatic. Okay, on to part 2. All right, so now I've shown you all the things that we're going to use for this unit. Now I can kind of break it down week by week and figure out how many weeks we're going to spend on this unit. Now, I don't want to overload ourselves with too many things to do every day, and I do want to leave ample time for us to do projects in the afternoon. This is just a great unit that lends itself very well to doing hands-on projects. So what I've done is that I've gone through the different books, and I have made notations about how long it's going to take for each book and where I want to place it in the whole unit, and that way I can figure out how long my unit's going to take. And also I kind of have an idea of how much time I actually want to spend on this unit, because I have other units that I want to get to, so I don't want to prolong this one too much. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to get through all of this material. There are some books that I've chosen not to add, like these two, and there are a couple other ones that if we get to them, that's great, and if we don't, that's okay. What I do want to make sure that we have time to do is all the projects, because that is going to be exciting for all of us. Okay, so if you want to see the actual breakdown of where all these different materials are going to go, and like in the lesson plan, you can check them out on my website. The link is in the description box below, and that way you can see how long the whole unit's going to last, and how the books are going to be divided up into the books that my kids are going to read versus the ones that I'm going to use as my teaching like for my lessons to teach them. One other thing I want to show you before I close this video is the book Poetry. Now, we meant to do this with our nature unit last year. We didn't get around to doing it, so now we're adding it now as something that we read one poem or one story every day. And I'm finding it to be a really nice way to add something that's organic to the inorganic nature of our geology unit. And this is something that I wanted to point out with the mineralogy study for a Waldorf curriculum. This is for 6th grade, which is the inorganic matter. But in 5th grade, the students are studying botany, which is living matter, but it's not animals. And then in 4th grade, the students are studying about animals. Now, what's really great about that progression is that you're starting with something that you can more easily relate to as animals, since we are an animal as well. Then you're moving on to trees and plants, so it requires you to have a little bit more distance, I guess, between you and that object. And then finally in 6th grade, you're moving even beyond that to something that is not living at all. And then in the 7th grade, the students return back to the study of humans through anatomy and, the human body. So I thought that progression was really interesting, and I wanted to point that out. Now, obviously, I don't have a 6th grader. I have a 5th grader and a 9th grader and a kindergartner. And this is just my attempt to try to meet the needs of all of my kids, and kind of in a way that's not meeting the needs of any of them. But I have had to depart from the progression of the Waldorf curriculum in order for me to just do one main unit or one main lesson block at a time. It wasn't feasible for me to do multiple ones at the same time. All right, thanks for watching.